Ah, sogar einer da. Oh, shit. Es war alles kaputt. Gar kein Plan. Also, 7 Leute. Hi. I might be speaking English, 10 people. I'll be working on my panel. Yesterday we completed the frame. I have to put in, I don't know the English word, 𝗶𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. And also I'm just implementing the instruments for the very first time, which are obviously the OpenVario, which we assembled yesterday together with Stefan. My other highlights are both the winter instruments, and I hope you don't notice, but I'm quite excited speaking freely in front of the camera for the very first time. These two are essentials from the 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 store. This one is the farm traffic display, and this one is the altimeter. And also it will be combined with the radio as well as the transponder. Moreover, I will put in a very old instrument, which is the 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. Maybe someone has got this one in his glider. I'll keep it from the old instruments. I'm not sure how it will work together with the OpenVario, but I think it's quite nice to have an electronic variometer. And last but not least, this is my radio from TQ. At the moment, I will use this until the 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 radio will come out, and then I will have to swap this one out. And let's get just started. I hope you can see the panel well. And thanks for the comments. Hi, K123 and 𝗨𝗶𝗀𝗶𝗹 und Felix Witzenbichler. Hi. It's nice that you're all here, and please let me know if you don't understand me well. I might have to change with the microphone. And yes, what I've already done is putting the click-ons in. Wait, I'll show you. This is very spontaneous. I've just decided to start this live stream. So I put the click-on in and the USB ports, as well as the main switch. And I will put in the battery switch now. You guys can just keep watching or ask me questions. I will try and answer them. And I'll be working here and can stay or not. Also, I've been thinking and discussing about talking in English or in German, because this is a topic which is quite debatable. Many of you speak German anyways, because you're glider pilots from Germany or Switzerland or Austria, and therefore the majority speaks German anyways, but some of you are from other countries. But I'm just getting started with YouTube, and I don't feel quite comfortable. I also don't want to receive a lot of hate, and therefore I might stick to German. But on the other hand, it would be sad if I had to exclude some of you. What I'm doing right now is unwrapping the click-on Sicherungen, was auch immer das auf Englisch heißt. Vielleicht kann es jemand auf Deutsch in die Kommentare schreiben, auf Englisch. Und I'll just jump from one language to the other as soon as I don't know a certain word. So what we've got here, I'm trying to show it to you. These are 2 pieces. Das ist gar nicht so leicht. Okay. This one is another piece, and 2 weird. I don't know where they go, because this is just the hole, and this aperture. I don't know how to use it. I'll have to Google it, or maybe just try it. This doesn't seem about right. Okay, so this might go here. Naja. Kein Plan. Even, maybe someone of you can explain it to me, but even this one doesn't go in there. And this obviously needs to secure the hole. Aber das geht da gar nicht drauf, also ich weiß nicht, was ich machen soll. So, dann ist das halt jetzt nur zur Deko. We will continue with the radio, which is going to the lower hole. And I'm gonna use the original winter Schrauben. Also Vokabeln fehlen mir halt echt auf Englisch, glaube ich, die technischen. Das wird noch ein bisschen Struggle. Das KLT2 hat eigentlich andere Schrauben mit dabei, original, aber ich möchte eigentlich, dass überall die gleichen Schrauben drin sind, also habe ich die einfach dazu gekauft. Und dementsprechend habe ich jetzt mich entschieden, überall Kreuzschlitz reinzumachen. In der Libelle hatte ich das mit den Torx. Das fand ich eigentlich ästhetischer. Aber die habe ich im Internet nirgends gefunden und Winter bietet eben nur Kreuzschlitz an und deswegen nehme ich halt jetzt das und hoffe halt einfach, dass alles dann am Ende gut aussieht. Ich habe gerade ein bisschen Probleme damit, weil die Schrauben relativ lang sind und ich die Löcher vorhin frisch gebohrt habe und die noch ein bisschen zu klein sind. Ich glaube, ich mache das nochmal neu. Also, hello from Poland. I might have to switch to English again, since we're some English speakers here. Not doing girly things on a Sunday. So I'm going to extend the hole, since I haven't made them big enough in the first place. And I'm hoping that no one is killing me for my technical non-existing knowledge. You're writing, congrats for your work and channel. Thank you very much. Also, she's using a special kind of screws. Yes, I have to visualize them. So there's a difference between the original screws and the screws I'm using. So this one was the original one from the KRT2 Torx, and these ones are the ones I'm using, and they're from the Winter Instruments, and I ordered about 40 of them, so the whole panel will look homogeneous. Your English is great. The question is, would you like to meet more international or German people? Thank you very much. I'm guessing that we should make our sport more international, because we're not a lot of glider pilots already, and if I'm speaking German, this will become it's already a niche. What I'm trying to say is our sport is already a niche. And if I'm speaking German, I also exclude all other glider pilots besides the Germans and the Austrians and the Swiss people, which makes it even less interesting, or to the common community, or all non-glider pilots, and we want to make our sport more popular. So I guess it would be important to reach more people, and I think Stefan is doing a good job doing his channel in English, and he also gained a lot of reach, and I think most of his followers aren't even from Germany, which his success gives him right to make the channel in English, and on the other hand, I see how much hate he receives for not speaking proper English and having a German accent. So my ego won't survive such hate, I think, and that's the reason why I'm afraid of speaking English in the videos. And also, I can express myself very well in German, and I like speaking German. So maybe I'm just lazy. I had to put a lot more effort into speaking English, because cutting the video, realizing that your sentences don't make perfect sense or your grammar was bad, you have to repeat this take, and I'm still struggling with this whole. I'm gonna get myself a tool. That's my toolbox. I'm very proud of it. I think it's from Aldi. Here, look at this. I love red. And I'm gonna get this one. So another comment: perspective is everything. Well, there has always haters. If you can't deal with this, you should stop social media right now. That's very true. But from Instagram, I'm not used to truthful feedback, because most people only hit the like button or cannot be bothered to write something evil, or they just don't follow you if they dislike your content. And YouTube is very different. On YouTube, people are sometimes maybe too honest, and they comment their true opinion, which makes it a little more risky, at least if you cannot or if you dislike a negative feedback. So you're very right, Kononos. I don't know, I cannot pronounce your nickname, I'm sorry. I'm still struggling with the radio screws. Now I know the English word for Schrauben. Hey, why not learn German? If you have some German vocabs, maybe we could start a language channel on gliding vocabs. Sorry for me speaking nonsense. I see 19 of you are still online. That's nice of you not to stick around. Maybe you can suggest a topic. We could talk about something. I just logged in, so probably you're already told, but where came the blank panel from? I want to do something like that for my LS. So the blank panel, I can show you the old one. Just wait a second. So I'm back again. This is the original panel from when I bought the Ls4, and you can tell it's very old. I can call it vintage, and this is the new one. And actually, I had some help. It was a DIY project, to be honest, and we did it together with Stefan, and the cutout holes were made by a CNC machine, so I didn't have to do it by hand this time. Last time with the 𝗨𝗀, I worked by hand. You might have seen it in my Instagram story. So this is the old one, and you can compare this the shape as well. We changed it a little bit. Here it was very straight and it had an edge. And now we put it a little bit in a smoother edge and a bit lower. So two instruments could fit above, because here obviously we would have had a problem. And now I will show you what the plan is going to be. So I want to insert the variometer over here, because the most important instruments got to be on the upper holes, and the other one will be the speed indicator. I'm gonna read your comments in a bit. I'm just answering the very first question. So this is what we made together with Stefan. It's out of glass fiber, and it's very light, and I will the tower is the original one from the Ls4, and it will be held together with I don't know the English word, but it's called Nieten in German, which look like this, and they will be put inside the holes and then painted with the Nextel paint. So I hope this answers your question, and I'm gonna read out the next question. 𝗨𝘀𝗶𝗹, Dankeschön, das hatten wir vorhin, Ls3A, und auf Deutsch geht's auch. Okay, Dankeschön fürs Feedback. The next one, Marcel van Hoof schreibt, Kreuzschlitzschraube ist Phillips screw head. I'm learning a lot today. Thank you very much. And thanks, but did you turn the corners? I mean, around the edges. So yes, what we did is, because obviously the tower was it was steeper, because if you compare the old panel, you can tell it had to be steeper. So we had, now you might need to help me again or Google Translate, jetzt weiß ich nicht mal auf Deutsch, diese Drehbank oder da wo man es halt Schraubzwinge da einklemmt, and then we put it into shape by hand. So you have to insert two woods which are the same length, like this. So the edge will be bent around this wood where, yes, and you have to do it with your hands. I hope I could help you. I didn't make a video about it because it's not very professional, but I spoke to DG, which said that it's okay what I'm doing, as soon as I'm not changing a lot. Also, thanks, but thanks again. 𝗶𝗶𝗀𝗹, I don't know what's that. Ah, okay. 𝗶𝗶𝗀𝗹 sind die Popnieten. Thank you. And did you consider buying a different glider than the Ls4? That's a very interesting question. I wanted, or I considered buying an 𝗨𝘀𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 on the market, and I was planning on going abroad for this January, before Corona obviously stepped in, and I needed a glider and I wanted to finish it before going to France. And that's why I decided to get a glider as fast as possible and just to jump on this offer. And I'm happy with it, even though I would love to have an ASV20. But I think you got to make the best out of it, and an Ls4 is a solid glider for competitions as well. And I was thinking maybe of getting an Ls3, but in my opinion, for me, the Ls4 suits me better, because I don't have to worry about 𝗹𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. Don't even watch Stefan's videos, so I don't even know the 𝗹𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 word. I hope you don't mind. Not very professional, your words, not mine. It just looks great, so congratulations with this panel. Thank you very much. Yes, bending the panel, I think it was the best option we had, because it was the original tower from the Ls4, and bending doesn't do a lot to the stability. So I think it's, yeah, why not? So I'm inserting the speed indicator. I was surprised how much work it is to assemble OpenVario yesterday together with Stefan. He helped me a lot, obviously. It's not that hard. Also, he has got an instruction online, but I was surprised how many parts the OpenVario has, because when in the very first time when I received the OpenVario, he assembled it for me, and now I had to do it on my own for the very first time, and I'm going to upload a video about it. Maybe it will help some of you if you haven't or if you have some issues assembling the OpenVario. What else are you writing? Ich finde Flieger vom LS vom Flugverhalten am besten. I'm going to answer this in English. So I also appreciate the flying behavior, let's translate it like this, of the LS as well. But the only LS planes I've flown was the Ls4 actually. I only can compare it to the Libelle or to the Discus 2CT. And I have to agree, it's like vanilla ice cream, someone told me, because everyone likes it. It's very basic, but it still like tastes good or feels good, like vanilla ice cream, but it's nothing special as well. Wölbklappen ist gleich flaps. Thanks, another word I've learned or added to my vocabulary. I just hope that I don't seem unprofessional, but just more human and approachable, because I'm just another glider pilot like you. I don't think just because someone is posting more or less content, it's like a more important person. But some messages I receive might be interesting for you to know. It's like, hey, I think you won't read my message anyways, but I want to tell you ... But I'm reading every single message of you, just that I'm very busy with studies. Like, this is the first day off I've got for months. I'm studying in a dual system, so I have to go to work and study in the time period of 3 months, changing from work to studies. So I can afford flying because I receive wages and not being solely a student. Because people also keep asking, hey, you're 20 years old, how can you afford a glider? Obviously, I received a little help from my family, but I'm financing the Ls4 by myself. And that's the reason why I chose to study in a company. So, was ist ein Flugzeug? For me, let's answer this with a bit of irony. For me, a plane doesn't need to have a propeller. For me, a real plane and a real pilot, this means so, is a glider pilot, because we don't have to rely on an external engine, but we do rely on our skills and on the power of nature, which makes it very much like a sport and requires intelligence and thinking and the capability of imagination. I think it's also a very creative sport, which I appreciate because it never gets boring and every flight is different. So I'm slowly getting there, as you can tell. But the air avionics instruments have got other screws, which are a little smaller, and they come together with the instruments. Let's compare the winter screws, like the ones I've been using before, and now these are the air avionics screws. And tell me if you would prefer smaller or bigger screws in the panel. Obviously, I like them to be the same, but here I cannot choose the bigger ones. But in general, if you could choose, would you choose smaller or bigger screws? Here the big ones, here the small ones. I think the small ones are more aesthetic. But I will need another tool. Here, let's pick a tool. Maybe this one. Perfect. Someone has written, Hi, Julia. I was also considering changing my panel. Okay, I have to show this comment because YouTube asked me if it's beleidigend. I don't know. Jetzt fällt es mir nicht ein. Insulting, genau, if it's insulting, but I will show you the comment. So it says, hi Julia, I want also considering changing my panel. My old one is shitty, that's why YouTube asked me if it's okay. But yes, it's okay. Just to make it nicer, is there any company which you would recommend and what's the price point? Vielen Dank. So with price point, der Kostenpunkt wahrscheinlich, you have to consider buying the glass fiber, which I used from Stefan because he has a whole roll, and maybe your club already has glass fiber, so you can use your clubs. Also, you need to consider that a proper panel needs to have a Form 1. So you might need to go to the glider manufacturer, not to a company. And the glider manufacturer can hand you a panel which has been approved with a Form 1. But if you're doing the DIY version, you need to buy glass fiber and you need to consider the working hours, because we did it ourselves, and you need to consider the Nextel paint, which also I think a tin costs about €70, and maybe your friends want to refurbish their panel, so you can share the costs. But then there's no other costs than that. The most expensive part is obviously buying the instruments. Let's talk about the price you asked. So the USB ports come together with the power flam. Then the Clixon Sicherungen, they cost about €28 each. And then you have to ask yourself how many you want to have. Then you have the radio, but I think you won't have to refurbish it. Let's skip this one. Here we got the ACT, the air controlled display, which costs about €500. Plus you need the license, which is €100 for the altimeter. And then I got the transponder, which is about €1,000, but it's not mandatory. Then we've got the Vario and the exchange. I think the new Vario cost me about €500, which is a lot. And then you can sell the old one, so the difference between that. And same goes for the speed indicator. Then we got the OpenVario. I think you can get the OpenVario from Stefan, depending on the gadgets you're getting with it, for €1,000, which is very good compared to LX, because LX charges, I think, €5,000 for their devices. And this is very affordable for students, and you are you're getting like the same package. And yesterday I received the information that even SkySight jumped on the 𝗦𝗂𝗧 train now, and that soon there will be an update that the 𝗦𝗧 weather can be shown on the OpenVario, which is already possible for LX devices, but now the OpenVario will be able to do this as well. This is very interesting for wave flights, by the way. Signing off now. Thanks for everything you put online. No problem. I see you soon, and thanks for being there. But we've still got 32 people sticking around, so just drop me your questions or let's discuss about wave forecasts. Have you flown waves before, and are you using SkySight, or are you using 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, DVD, or are there other weather forecasts in other countries? Let me know, because weather for me, or meteorology, is a very interesting topic, and knowing about weather is like 80% of your success, because obviously you can fly very well, but if you have knowledge about clouds and about thermals and about wind, you have a huge advantage. Great, thanks for the information, and sorry, YouTube. Yes, I think YouTube will forgive us for using swear words. So far I've put in the OpenVario now, and it looks massive. I'm very proud of this so far. Here I'm going to insert the 𝗨𝗀𝗃 I've been talking about. So yes, let me know if you would put such an old variometer into a very modern panel, and if you think it will be of good use for me, or whether I should exchange it for a more modern electric variometer. Because at the moment, as you can see, I've got 2 variometers now, and yes, I haven't tried this one out yet. I only know it from the old Ls4, and I think it's better than having none, but obviously there's no digital screen or something, or no integration shown. It will be shown on the OpenVario, but I don't like the sound, to be honest, and that's why I'm using the sound. Is there 𝗨𝗃 connected to the OpenVario? So I've been speaking to Stefan if this would be possible, and he honestly didn't know, and I will have to try it. I was hoping that somebody could tell me if they have experience with it, and I would love to connect them. Also, I would prefer the sound of the 𝗨𝗃. You might have heard the OpenVario sound in some of Stefan's videos, and it's quite annoying. Or rather program another sound into the OpenVario, which doesn't hurt your ears that much. So what are you writing, Ether? How come in Europe there are no cloud flying instruments, especially for wave flying? In case of a cloud descent, I think a New Zealand video should be a wake-up call to have something. So this is a very interesting topic regarding security and safety in the air. In Germany, we've got something which is called a Kennblatt, and it says which instruments are mandatory to have inside your glider, and they distinguish between cloud flying and VFR flying. And if you want to have a cloud flying glider, you have to implement a compass and a libelle. And if you just want to fly VFR, you only need like speed indication and altimeter, and that's it. So you can choose for yourself in Germany. I don't know if for other countries, I think it's the same. And if you're flying waves and you're not cloud rate or IFR rated, I think you should keep your distance, especially the vertical distance to clouds, because you never know what's inside or what's beneath them. Especially in the Alps, you have no idea where the mountains are beneath the clouds, and the chance of hitting a mountain is quite high. So I haven't flown wave in the flatlands before, only in the Alps. And if we see that the cloud base is not leaving a hole, we descend as fast as possible and we leave the wave. No flying, no more. I hope this answers your question a little bit, but I don't have a concrete answer. 𝗨𝗃 can be passed on Vario, Baro, and wind to 𝗨𝗃. Wow, that's a nice information. Thank you very much, Rothaglider. I just have no idea how to put both together, because on the back side, it looks like that, and I don't know where the contacts should go to the OpenVario. Here will be a 𝗨𝘓 plugin, and I can assemble the cables myself and put it to the contacts, but I'm not sure which contacts have to go to the 𝗨𝑒C. Maybe you have a picture or a link. I see you've sent something into the chat. I just have to, obviously YouTube blocked it again. I can see it, it's a link, but unfortunately I cannot approve it. I will check it out after the live stream, but thank you very much for letting me know that there is a possibility of making both instruments compatible. So yes, that's the back side so far. You can see it's quite a mess and there are no cables yet, but we're slowly getting there, and it's very nice talking to you while working, because otherwise it would be quite boring. So what else are you asking? Where is your home base? That's a question I receive a lot, and it's not easy to answer because, as I said before, I've got I'm studying in a dual system, so I'm working at another place than I'm studying. So at the moment I'm at home where my parents live, and that's near Landsberg am Lech, near Munich. And my home base, where I started flying, where I made my license, is Geraardshof, which is a very small airfield actually, and I'm flying at the moment in EDEW, which is Walldürn, and that's where I'm studying, and it's in the Odenwald region with very nice thermals, and my home base over here, everything's flying around. So my home base over here is very close to the Alps and to the 𝗨𝘶𝗰𝗶𝗹, but you have to glide to the up to 50 kilometers to each, because it's right in the middle. So here's the Geraardshof, here are the Alps 50 kilometers away, and the 𝗨𝘶𝗰𝗶𝗹 is here. So it's not the nicest thermal region, because you don't glide straight into it, but you have to put a lot of effort into flying into the best region. And until you get there, most of the day is gone, and therefore I didn't make my biggest flights from this airfield. Let me know if you prefer like a nice airfield which you can choose to go into either region, or if you would love to fly into in a hotspot, but then you had to keep flying in this hotspot every day, every hour, and not a lot of decision to make. So for myself at the moment, I much prefer Walldürn, because it's in the flatlands. The Alps were quite scary for me with the libelle, and sorry for this tape coming off. I just cut into my finger right before Christmas, and I nearly cut it off. I went into hospital to ask if it had to be stitched, and then they not sewed it together but taped it together. So yes, I nearly cut my finger off. I'm a bit clumsy, let's put it like this. And I'm regretting that I haven't made the holes big enough. Don't do the same mistake, but rather make smaller holes and expand them afterwards than making a huge hole in the very beginning and then there's no way back. But that's just a game of patience, and I don't have any. Stefan knows. Is it a SN10? I think so, yes, it is. But I haven't made a lot of research about the instrument, so I cannot tell you anymore, unfortunately, Ronald. So yes, maybe you can tell me about your home bases and where you fly and which competitions you're flying next year. This is quite interesting because of the virus situation, do you think that there will be competitions next year? And where are you going to fly? For myself, I wanted to go to the female German nationals. And for me, this is an opportunity to meet other girls who are flying competitions. But in Germany, there has been a discussion recently if it makes sense to separate women from the men in gliding. And if it's fair that if we fly the German female nationals, that we go into the national team, because some men claim that it's not fair that we have our own competition with less participants and then go straight into the national team. I would like to hear your opinion before I tell myself what I think about this topic. Jaroslav writes that he flies in the Erzgebirge, which is very nice. I've been there by plane, but not in a glider. But I would love to go there. Maybe there's a possibility to have a flight camp. And Germany is so big with very different landscapes. It takes years to explore the whole German airspace, I think. But also I would love to go to Ungarn, Hungary. I would love to go to Slovenia. And I would love to go to Denmark one day. And New Zealand would be very interesting for me. So you're writing Rheinstetten. I think this is near Karlsruhe. Correct me if I'm wrong. And you have got the Weinstraße and you've got waves. Is that right? So that's going to Luke. And Pingu PN05 writes he flies in Meyersburg near Düsseldorf. I haven't been up north in Germany yet because I live down in the south. And I think the most north I've flown was in Walldürn, and I've been flying in 𝗏𝗀𝗃 for one day, and we traveled there for 10 hours and the weather was really bad, and then we just drove back straight and I only had one flight from 𝗏𝗀𝗃. And I flew in Brandenburg for buying the Ls4. Argentina or Brazil, is this a Brazil flag? Unfortunately, the chat in YouTube is very small. Then Tech. I've flown from the Hahnweide once, and this was a week of flying. And Luke says, yes, near Karlsruhe. Oh, my geographic knowledge isn't that bad. Flo writes im Allgäu. Jawohl, im Allgäu, because that's near where I live. So I live in Landsberg am Lech, and I think the Allgäu is about an hour away from me. So I know 𝗏𝗏𝗏 in Allgäu, I know Kempten, that's where my 50-kilometer flight went to, and there are lots of other airfields. I think there is, yeah, okay, I don't know other airfields. Then Luke writes, I don't know about the waves there, but I get my license this year. Yes, that's great. So I guess you're about 15 or 16, and I wish you many happy landings. Paul says he flies in Hessen, very near to Bavaria. That's very nice. How about the airspaces? Do you have many restrictions in your region? And how do you like to fly? So do you use a transponder, or do you use your radio to get permission, or do you just avoid airspaces? I'm just expanding the holes again because I'm struggling to get the screws in. But maybe it's just because the radio doesn't fit with the winter screws. I'm gonna test it, because they're quite long, even though they're original, which annoys me quite a bit. Memmingen. Flo writes Memmingen, yes. There is a transponder mandatory zone. I've already landed in Memmingen with a touring motor glider. I'm making a touring motor glider license myself at the moment with the SF25C, which isn't the Ferrari of the planes, but at least it flies. Yes, but I don't think I will become a motor glider because gliding is much nicer, and obviously it's nice to bring friends and sit into a touring motor glider, but I don't think it's my sport and my style. Flow, but now I'm leaving for the theoretical learning, for the theoretical exam. So for the theoretical exam, what are the subjects you're struggling most with? Myself, I was struggling with meteorology and navigation, which are the most common subjects to struggle with. And for me, it helped learning with the Peters software and just learning the answers and not even understanding properly what they mean. But the knowledge about meteorology I received after my license when you go cross country, and then truly understanding what they meant when they explained the questions. And this came much after the theoretical exam. But keep studying, and I wish you the best for your exam. And I've been thinking about making something like videos about the theoretical exams, so you can watch this on the topics on different subjects. But obviously I'm not a flight instructor and I'm not a professional, but if you have certain questions, maybe we can set up something like the Daniel Jung for glider pilots explanation videos, and so you don't have to ask your flight instructors, so you can just click on a video and watch. So Paul writes, near to my airfield in Frankfurt Airport, we don't go over 950 above ground. Wow, that's not, no, QFE, that's not a lot. And I reckon this is really hard to go cross country then. But once you're out, it's probably nice around Frankfurt. I think, I don't know which corner of the airspace you're flying in, but the south corner is where I fly. And up north, you can also make a nice round around the airspace, which I think if you fly the proper round, the proper triangle around Frankfurt is about 500 to 600 kilometers, which is very nice for the DMST. Also for flow navigation is the struggling subject. Jochen's gliding channel, Mahlzeit miteinander. Yeah, it's nice to see you here. And yes, Flo, thanks for your feedback. I might put some work into the theory. So about books, I know Flying Simon, maybe some of you have subscribed to him, already made a video about his favorite lectures and books about gliding. And I want to name a few of my personal favorites, which are definitely the meteorology books from the Motorbuch Verlag. And moreover, I really appreciate the German version of Wettbewerbssegelflug. I might get it from my bookshelf at the moment, but let me know if you have favorite gliding books and if you appreciate theory books or like stories and histories about famous glider pilots or competitions, because I've got some of them as well, like the famous 𝗫𝗫𝗀𝗃 constructor. I think the book is called 𝗨𝗶𝗫𝗀𝗃. This is a very interesting book if you're into entrepreneurship and motivational stuff and into his biography, which is an essential part of our sport. Yes, and I speak a lot. This is like a monologue. I might just continue working and I wait for your questions. Soaring Engine Volume 1.1, 2, and 3. I haven't heard about this book. I think it's going to be in English. I would love to read an English gliding book. I haven't done it before. I think there are several other English books from, I think it's called Soaring in the Wave or something. Is it hard to understand it for non-native speakers, would you say? And why are there 3 parts of this book? Why doesn't fit the topic into one book? Or are there different topics discussed in each book? So I might just leave this here and I'm going to get the book I was talking about. Just a moment. So here's a little pile of my favorite selection. So I was talking about this book. This is no ad, it's just personal preference. And when I read it, I feel like studying and I put a lot of notes in the important quotes. And I also really work with my books and I mark certain things and sentences I feel like they're important. And I really learn a lot from this book. This helped me reaching my first 500 kilometers. And I can recommend it for every single glider pilot who's just getting started with competition flying and in general cross-country flying, because there is a section about the competitional flying for itself, and the rest is like just casual cross-country flying and strategies. This book has got about 350 pages, and it's about meteorology and, as I said, competition, the polars, and how much water to fill into your glider. Also mental training, which is very important. And I really find it interesting how much like psychology can affect your success, your personality, and an analysis about your personality. Then your competences and where they intersect. And there are also different graphics like strategies when flying. Does it make sense to circle under this cloud and this cloud twice? Or does it make sense to circle under the big clouds and then glide to the next ones? And stuff like that is discussed in terms of time, speed, and strategy. Also, concentration ratio. A lot of pictures. So as you can tell, this is my very favorite book. So you've been writing quite a bit. Volume 1 is on ridge, thermal, flatland, and mountain. Sounds interesting for me. Wave and convergence, also a very deep topic where you can go into a lot of detail. So I now understand why you would write 3 books. And volume 3 is high performance flying, which is basically, I think, this book in a nutshell. And I might get the trilogy. Thank you very much for the recommendation. Then 𝗦𝗫𝗃 writes, if I participate in the 𝗗𝗃 competition, which I will do not, because I don't think this competition is my level yet. There are a lot of really competent glider pilots flying it, and I just have to charge my battery. And therefore I won't participate. Also the Schwäbische Alb, I know it quite well, and I much prefer going to a competition in a region where I haven't flown yet, because this is a chance to get to know new regions. So no, unfortunately not. Then Luke writes, so mir ist es jetzt zu doof, auf Englisch zu schreiben. No problem, I will just translate your comment. Kannst du das Buch Streckensegelflug leicht gemacht? So yes, I know this book and I think I've got it here. Yes, right there. So to answer your question, same counts for this book, but not in the intensity like this one. I'm really studying this. When I find something interesting, I put a post-it inside. Like, it's already marked in the book with an exclamation mark if there is a passage which is really important for you. And just to skip or just to repeat theory really quick, I always put like a post-it inside. For example, here it says about the degree of your course that you shouldn't go or deviate from. And what else? Again, meteorology, really important, and stuff like that. I really love this book, and every time I read it, I find something new and something I can learn from this. I really can recommend this book. It costs about, I think, 50 euros, but sometimes you should definitely check 𝗵𝗍𝗪s because there are books that are used and they are very cheap. And my other books I got there for 4 euros or 3 euros, which is a lot less than the original price, obviously. So, genau. Another book, which I mentioned before, is the metrology book for glider pilots. And this is just a very basic knowledge to be a glider pilot and not just fly after the clouds, but really to truly understand the whole weather and also the forecast, to know when a day will be good and not only if the PFD is purple, let's go flying, but really understanding like how the day will go and how your strategy in the cross-country flight need to be adapted. Because maybe there will be warm air coming in and therefore you need to fly higher and slower, and maybe there's like less damp or weniger Feuchtigkeit in der Luft and the clouds will diminish and therefore you need to be home by 18 o'clock and stuff like that. You need to know, and that's what you can learn from this book. And my last one, I've posted it on Instagram a couple of times. It's very aesthetical and pleasing, very nice photography if you're into that, and obviously a lot of writing about really psychology and storytelling, and very emotional and well explained. Even though the book is a bit older and there are no new versions of it, I think it's worth a look. And as I said, if you're buying it for 3 to 4 euros, it doesn't hurt if you dislike the book, but I love it a lot. So you're writing, could you please show the Wettbewerbssegelflug book again? Yes, sure. I also can post it on Instagram in my stories with the ISBN number. You can get it from 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 this, if you type the title inside Google search, it will appear. And yes, my favorite book. I can really recommend it. I hope this helps you. I will leave it here. No, I will leave it. No, I can't leave it here. Maybe this helps. Okay. Can't find it online. Maybe you should check Segelflug oder Streckenflug.at. They definitely got it. And I would love to share my screen, but this is just a YouTube simple live stream with the webcam. I don't use my camera at the moment because the setup is quite annoying. And I wanted to use my mobile phone, but it's not, my account isn't verified yet. So that's all I can do at the moment, but I will give a link in the bio in my Instagram, so you can swipe up in my Instagram story. What is the name of the German secondhand website you mentioned? I can type it in, so it will stay here. maybe mobs. And there's another website, I'm not sure how it was, BookLooker. It was called BookLooker, where you can have super deals for all used books, also school books, but also gliding books. There is no restriction. It's like how Amazon used to be. I want to ask you a question about the content I'm posting on Instagram, whether you would prefer more technical insight or more personal insight about my persona, what I'm doing on the airfield, like more portraits, because those obviously receive most of my likes. And when I post stuff like books, only few people care. But at the same time, I don't want to make the account all about me, but it's about gliding. So tell me your preferences, what you would like to hear more of. And also, I'm struggling with my YouTube channel because obviously I'm not flying in New Zealand and in Australia and in Africa like another famous YouTuber does. I don't want to mention the name. So I have to think of topics that you're interested in. So just let me know. Also, I'm going to continue with my panel, otherwise this will never be finished. And as soon as a question plops up, I will go back to talking to you. Hoppala. But talking about my career earlier, how are you managing to combine your passion with your everyday life? Are you a student or are you working? Are you studying? Let me know. And how are you doing with the financial part? And do you own an own glider as well? Yes, how is your free time situation? That's what I'd be interested in, because a lot of people say, a lot of people say that they don't have enough time for gliding when they're older, or a lot of people stop gliding after they got their license. And that's what I want to get to know, why people stop gliding and how to change that trend. Another question is gliding your occupation? No, it's not, unfortunately. And I don't think that there's any glider pilot other than 𝗨𝗶𝗹 who is an aerobatics pilot who could live off gliding. Stefan is getting quite close to it, but it's not happening yet. I'm studying at the moment international business, and I work at Aldi. I'm becoming like a manager. At least I'm in the Ausbildung, in the studying for it. And that's why my time frame is really limited, because next to learning, I also have to go to work every day. I've got a 37.5 hours week in my contract, and next to it I have to manage all my other hobbies. I already gave up most of them, and gliding is all I've left in photography, and I'm trying to combine both. So, okay. There is a message that has been deleted. Is it your passion? Sure, gliding is my passion. I think all of us do gliding because we love it. And I think if you love something, you can give a lot of money or invest a lot of money into your free time. But I don't also think that it's not money that is lost, but it's invested in yourself, and you're developing a personality through training and through the glider pilot license training you get, and you develop your persona a lot. And that is something what you can put into your CV, and which are skills you're learning, and therefore the money is really invested in your own development and not only into gliding. So if you need to convince your parents to invest more money into your flying, just say stuff like that. That's how I did it. Flo, about Instagram, I think books are more like, okay, not like a nice gliding picture or really like, yeah, I like that. I think you're right. And I will definitely not overdo the book thing. And also, a lot of people don't even like reading. Therefore, it's not a topic for the community, I think. Philip asked me, how old am I? I already mentioned it before. Maybe the lighting is bad. I look too old. Let's change that. I'm 20 years old. And I turned 21 in February. So not a teeny anymore, and I feel old. Also, I got eyeshadows. Then the Japans. How did the trailer design experiment go? That's interesting that you ask. I received a lot of questions about the trailer design, and I have completed the project. I just haven't managed to upload a video because the editing work is a lot and I'm not 100% happy with the outcome. But the Fiverr designers did a good job. I don't want to spoiler it yet because the video will be uploaded soon, I hope. And you will see the results, and I'm still thinking about it, and just be a bit more patient with me because I'm really stressed out lately and I'm uploading the videos soon. Tadek, Julia, thank you for the streaming. Do you think that the pilot beginner needs to buy an IGC certified logger to record on cross-country flights? I think that it is very important to record your cross-country flights, but the difference between a EGC verified logger and just a normal logger, which you can do with your Android phone with 𝗦𝗻𝗄𝗧, which is a logger as well, and also with your iPhone with the CU logger app, is that you upload it in 𝗨𝗀 and you can see your track and how many times you've been thermaling and how fast you went, is an essential part of improving. But the IGC verification or validation isn't necessary because it only is mandatory for the DMST and for official competitions. If you're just flying for yourself for training purposes, you can just use your phone and upload your flights and analyze them, and no need for an IGC validation, which I can show you on my iPhone right now, because here it's not the 𝗦𝗻𝗄𝗧 isn't available, but there's another app which is called Recorder from CU. If you type into the CU Recorder, you can download this app. It looks like this, and you can log in or register, and then you can record your flight even with your iPhone without using 𝗦𝗻𝗄𝗧. And I just use this as a backup, or when I was flying with the K8, just for fun, and I didn't have a Nano before. So for myself, I just got the Nano, I think last year, and before that I flew with my mobile phone. So I hope this answers your question. There's no need for an IGC valid logger. Marcel, how did you get into gliding? So my family is a pilot family. I'm a pilot in 3rd generation, but there are no glider pilots in my family, and I'm the first one who got into gliding. How did this happen? I was 13 years old and I knew I wanted to do my pilot license, but I didn't want to wait until I turned 17, and that's why I searched for alternatives, and gliding came up because you can start gliding with 14 in Germany, and that's how I started gliding. I told myself before I do my PPL license. I want to do my glider pilot license, and in the end it turned out that I find much more joy in gliding than in proper flying, let's say it like this. Tadek, thank you very much for your response. No problem at all. I'm very surprised that still around 30 people more or less are watching. I would be interested in what your winter projects are, and if you think, when is it time to get yourself an own glider? And if you think you should stick to club gliders or maybe buy an own glider, when is the point that you would get yourself a glider? Also, don't do this as I'm doing it. It's horrible what I'm doing. Please don't watch. Okay, muss leider gehen, mach weiter so, Dankeschön. Ciao, Luke. So maybe an evil question, but what happened to the libelle? I don't think it's an evil question. I don't know if you hear me if I'm doing this, so I'll just stop. I had an accident. I posted it publicly on Instagram. And what happened was, it was an outlanding which I planned. I knew I was not going to make it home, so I chose an airfield on the way back home with enough secure altitude. Turned out that when I arrived, that the airfield on the moving map wasn't a proper airfield, but more like a short field. It was, I think, 200 meters long and 16, 17 meters wide, with a wingspan of 15 meters. There was a high chance of touching the trees with a wingtip, which happened. So I landed and the glider turned around and I struck the trees, and I went to hospital to get checked for traumas of my head, and the glider was a wreck and I sold it. And obviously the insurance paid for the damage, so I could get myself the Ls4. I will not go into deeper details because I've already analyzed the flight quite often and I also shared the experience with you, but that's what happened to the libelle. So Arthur, watching while making new stainless steel rigging equipment for my ASV20. Oh, I'm jealous that you've got the ASV20. Very nice. Eta, how can I do the zero gravity in the air? So what you got to do is flying a parabol, is it what you call it in English, where you take up some speed, go down quite a bit, and then you pull up the plane, not a lot until you have zero speed, but you just pull it up gently, and then you push again, and in the moment of the push, you will feel the zero gravity. Obviously, you will feel gravity, but light objects like your phone, if it's not attached properly, which it should be, will fly up. And mind the canopy, because a lot of planes or a lot of pilots have damaged canopies in this way, and that's quite expensive. Felix, how many outlandings do you have yet? To be honest, I stopped counting because each year I think I had at least 5, and I'm flying cross country for 2 or 3 years now. So I think I've got over 10, I've got at least. Also in each competition we had bad weather and I landed out there quite often. But I think outlanding for itself is not a sign of a good or a bad pilot. It's just how you land and how your decision making beforehand was. Like, Am I flying in bad weather and landing out, or am I flying in really good weather and making bad decisions and landing out? That's a huge difference. So don't judge on the number of outlandings, but judge on the quality of the outlandings. Watching while making a new instrument panel for my Ls4. Very nice. Yes. So we keep making our panels. It's sad that you can't post pictures of your panels. Maybe if you have Instagram, post a picture of your panel work in your story and tag me so I can make a shout out to your panel work. So we're all a community doing our panels together. I will repost your pictures. I hope just Stefan doesn't see what I'm doing, because that's a fraud. Never do this to your Nextel coated panel. But the holes just don't fit perfectly yet. So now I'm going to screw the ILEC in. And as I said before, if you see this live stream and you're on Instagram, just post or mention it in your story and I can give you a shout out. Where did I stop? How do you classify gliding as a sport? I always struggle with this when someone asks me what sport I am doing. I wanted to do a video about this because I did a market research on this topic. Gliding is a sport, and now listen up, because you have to have strategy to be successful. We have competitions. I mean, why is Formula 1 a sport? It's a motorsport, isn't it? And we're racing in the sky. I mean, as soon as you're competing with someone, you can call it a sport. Even check is a sport. So we're might not flying the same race if you're not flying competitions, but you're also flying for maybe the all seed or decentralized competition, and this is a sport. Also, if you have been on a competition and you know you're eating a lot, and after 2 weeks of competition you lost a lot of weight, you know this is a sport, because thinking costs a lot of calories. And last but not least, you're moving a sport device, which is a plane in this case, and it doesn't matter if you move your body or this device. You're trying to be as fast as possible and as successful as possible. You're flying for records, and that's all a definition of sport. Maybe we should Google sport, and maybe we should put up a definition. I will think about it. So you say your parents are pilots. Which planes do they fly? My father is a pilot. My mother doesn't fly. My father flies a Cessna 177 RG, which is the Cardinal version, and the same counts for my grandfather. And that's about it. But I wish I was living in a glider pilot family, but I still receive a lot of support from my family. Thanks that the panel looks great. I hope it will suit the glider, which doesn't look so great yet. It's still orange. How old were you when you got your Libelle? I was 18. Now I'm 20, so I only owned it for 1.5 seasons. And yes, I think we bought it in 2018 in the summer, and we drove to France. It was my second visiting of a plane. Beforehand, we went to Austria to an Ls4, but it was as yellow as a rubber duck, and it was not the nicest glider, so we just left and drove off, and then we found the 𝗨𝗏𝗯 online, and it was love at the first sight. That's when I got it. Felix, it's absolutely correct. The number of outlandings doesn't count. I also had a few. Safety first. Thank you very much. Alta, how much did you pay for your 𝗨𝗏𝗀? Now that it's sold and the prices are varying a lot through the IGC index list, you cannot compare the prices from 2 years ago. But the 𝗨𝗏𝗀 cost about 17,000 euros when I bought it. And then I obviously had the damage and the insurance paid for the rest. So I got off quite lucky, because if I had to sell it without the insurance, I obviously would have lost a lot of money due to the IGC index, which changed for the disadvantage of the 𝗨𝗏𝗀. So we can say my accident had something good for me as well. Are you getting new winglets? That's a question I receive a lot, but unfortunately I'm still a student, cannot afford all the nice gadgets, and it's not like I've a lot of experience with construction work, so I could save money and do it on my own. So no, I won't be getting the new winglets. And also some people say that it's only an aesthetic thing and they don't help you as much as they cost you index points in the competition, because you need to fly much better in order to receive more points, because the winglets also cost you points in your index. And that's why I think that flying with no winglets would be better for me. And that's why I'm not getting them, and also money. Then, where do you store your glider? I store my glider in the trailer, and the trailer stands in a stable, not at the airfield, and it is waiting for the season until I store it on the airfield. And I'm still struggling with the screws. So at the moment the glider isn't at an airfield, and I have to build it up every time I'm flying. I'm not storing it in the hall, because obviously it costs more to store your glider in the club when it's under the, if it's built up, rigged. I don't know how it's called. I think it's called rigged. Gliders. Nice that you put plural. I'm not Stefan, at least not yet. He's got the 𝗨𝘀𝗲𝗄 and the Ls3 now, and I don't have the trouble to find 2 spaces, but I wish for the future that I have 2 gliders. And also I said when I'll be old and wealthy, I wanted to put the 𝗨𝗏𝗀𝗀 as decoration on the top of the ceiling of my house, of my future house, but that's just crazy thinking of me. I would just love to have a glider as decoration in my house. At what airfield do you fly? I think we've already answered this question. Maybe you haven't been there from the very beginning. I will repeat it quickly. I'm flying in EDEW, and this airfield is called 𝗏𝗏𝗀 in Germany. Marcel, sorry, I have to leave. Thanks for the live stream. I enjoyed it. Thank you. See you, and maybe I'll do it again. Bye. What do you think of podcasts? Do you hear a lot of podcasts? and I've heard that there are 2 or 3 gliding podcasts. Have you already heard them? And would you recommend watching the soaring podcasts? What's your opinion? Any plans to get a PPL? As soon as I've got money, I will do the PPL. It would be nice for photography. I'm doing the touring motor glider license at the moment, so it comes quite close. And after the touring motor glider license, it's easier to get the PPL because you need less hours. And maybe then I'll get to the PPL one day. I would make my grandfather proud. But at the moment, I don't have the plan. Are you in a relationship with Stefan? I think we're talking about it quite openly. So yes, we're a couple since half a year now. We've been friends for 5 years, and we got together just last summer. He asked me out, very cute. We flew together, and in the evening he asked me if I would want to be his girlfriend, which was very cute, and I didn't expect it, but I said yes, and I think it's a good match. I can talk about social media with him and about flying. What else could I want? No, Stefan is a nice guy, and I think you could guess. And also, we're talking about it, and it's not a secret. Keeping secrets really is a struggle in the gliding community because, as a girl, you're struggling with a lot of talking, and she could be together with him, and she could be making out with him, and that's something really annoying for a girl, and so we're not keeping it a secret. And yes, was getting a licensed glider pilot hard? So I think if you can start gliding with 14 and solo at 14, I wouldn't consider it hard. You have to be passionate about it, and you have to stick with it. You have to go gliding and practicing every second week at least, better every weekend. And that's the only thing which is hard, to be continuous and keep practicing. The flying itself isn't hard at all. If a 14-year-old can do it, and I was licensed with 15, so I wouldn't consider it hard at all. Everyone can do it, and I also write it in my comments every time I post a picture. Everyone can fly, and I hope that people will realize this. I've watched the Soaring Skies podcast and the Thermo. Yes, I've heard about both. I think Soaring the Sky podcast asked me once if I want to do a podcast with them, and I wasn't too sure if it is worth it because I don't have a lot of stories to tell or successes to talk about, and I'm rather someone who hears other people talking rather than trying to explain stuff myself, because I always fear to be unprofessional, and I'm just doing this as a hobby as well, so I don't have a lot of professional funded information to give. Just my thoughts. Katharina, podcast, I'd be interested. Okay. We fly. What are your future plans with your glider? So first, I want to finish the panel, and I'm already working on the interior design. I need to repaint the wingtips because they're orange, and I need to add the competition call sign, which will be Juliet Sierra instead of Papa 5. And there's like a huge to-do list, and stuff keeps adding up. I quite feel overwhelmed when I read the to-do list, and then Stefan always calms me down. It's manageable, you can do this, and step by step you have to just keep small progresses and don't watch the whole thing, because working on a glider will never end. It's a never-ending story. Did wait. What didn't you want Why didn't you want to be a airline pilot if you're really interested in flying? Because to me, flying as an airliner pilot, I imagine to be different, because gliding to me means like I'm flying for myself, being lonely up there, just flying where I want to fly. And as an airline pilot, you have to follow a route, you have to transport people from A to B, and it's not the freedom you have in a glider. And for me, it feels like being the bus driver just in the air. And I much prefer like marketing and managing stuff. So I'm studying international business and creativity. So I appreciate design a lot. And that's why airline pilot wouldn't be the dream job for me. Did you renew the ceilings on your Ls4? The ceilings aren't renewed because the 3000 hours overhaul will be next year, and that's the time when I will do the ceilings, and then I'll do a video about it, because many of you asked about it as well, and it's a very important step to tune a glider for competition flying. Why don't you open a Discord server so you can do announcements and your community can contact you directly? To be honest, I don't know what a Discord server is. I'm new to the whole YouTube stuff. And what would be the advantages of a Discord? Would you like to join a Discord? What would be inside the Discord? Does it cost something, or what do I need to do to manage a Discord? I have no idea. Maybe you can help me, guys, because as I said, I'm a complete glider nerd, but I have no idea about YouTube and stuff like that. But if you can help me out, I will be open to your idea, and maybe we can open a Discord if it's manageable. Agreed, airline flying is completely different to gliding. It has different challenges and isn't so pure. Right, that's what I think. What does your father exactly do when flying a Cessna? What kind of pilot is he? It's just a free-time pilot, just for fun. Flying from A to B. We are living near to the mountains, so he takes me flying to take some pictures and stuff, but he doesn't fly as active as I do anymore. So that's it. In comparison to other countries, Canada, USA, I found the German glider community to act hard to get, meaning I found it much harder to get friendly and get part of the community. What's your experience with the community? Any thoughts on how to approach them? Katharina, I would like to answer this question, since I'm in the German glider community myself, and I understand your question since I lived in England for a year. And I found it hard to be integrated into the English culture. And I think it's just the feeling of being not part of the society for the first few months, and it's hard to get inside a new country. But on general, the German culture is like very distanced in the first place, but very warm-hearted, and especially from pilot to pilot, quite friendly, but it's hard to approach someone in the first place. Also, as a girl, I consider it harder to be taken up in a club, because people are criticizing you in the first moment, like, she's a girl, what does she do here? Does she just want to flirt with the boys, or just does she even know how to fly, and I was confronted with this topic quite a lot, and I feel like it's not the coming from the US or Canada to Germany thing, but more of a being a girl coming to a new club thing, in addition to being international, which means that you have to prove yourself to the male members for being an honorable part of the club before being accepted, which might sound old-fashioned, but that's what I experienced. For example, I came to a gliding club and they asked me, "Do you even know which rudder this is?" And I was just helping out a friend to check the glider, and I was a pilot myself, but being a guest to another club. So they automatically assumed that I was not a pilot, just because I was being a girl and not wearing a shirt with a plane on it. And I think that's more of a gender issue. Let me know if you think the same. And I don't think it's like the German problem, but in the first place, the other problem. And then maybe just sit together with them if they're drinking a beer in the evening or something. Stay in the evening for the campfire or activities like that, and get to know the people, because during flying and the process of Flugbetrieb, the process of flying, everyone is busy and maybe not that open to speaking because there are tasks to do, and in the evening people are more relaxed and able to talk. Mr. Silent Sky Star High in the Air. What a nice nickname. Discord is a voice server and a chat program used mostly by gamers. Discord doesn't really cost. And which program do you use for your photo editing? Okay, so first for the Discord, what's the difference between the Discord and the chat here and the Discord? Because I'm chatting with you guys here, what would be the advantage of a Discord if it's only a chat? Because you can message me on Instagram and on YouTube in the comments and on the chat in the live stream. If there's like a major advantage, I will consider it. Otherwise, it's just another platform that I would have to manage, which can be really a lot of work. And I'm already behind on answering all the messages on Instagram, which sounds like I'm doing super important Instagram stuff, but it's not the case. It's just like I'm reading your messages, but I want to take my time to answer properly. And I just don't find the time, and I just don't want to answer yes and no, but I want really to answer you properly. And a Discord, I feel like this would be the case, that I would just have a lot of questions I would not be able to answer anyways. Do you use okay, so the photo editing app is Lightroom from Adobe, and Photoshop, I'm using the original apps. You use an app when flying, which shows you your flown route and weather, basically an analysis of your flight. So let's get back to this beauty. The OpenVario runs on the system which is called 𝗟𝗟, and 𝗟𝗟 also works on an Android phone. So I've got a second phone, which was really cheap, off eBay for 50 euros, and I think everyone got 50 euros to afford like a cheap Android phone to run 𝗟𝗟 on a second device. So you can check on your route, on your stats, and that's the app I'm using. It's for free, by the way. So, and it's the same on the phone and on the OpenVario. It's nice to have like same info boxes and to check different settings to see if the phone calculates another value than the OpenVario, or even to expand the functions and the tools of the OpenVario info boxes and to add other tasks and stuff. Colin, finde deine Videos und Bilder auf YouTube, Instagram etc. echt toll. Mach weiter so. Dankeschön. An solchen Kommentaren freut man sich wirklich, weil es ist richtig viel Arbeit und man denkt sich manchmal so, warum mache ich das eigentlich? Weil man entblößt sich ja auch in gewisser Weise vor Leuten, die man nicht kennt. Oder man kommt auf 'n Flugplatz und sieht Leute, die man noch nie in seinem Leben gesehen hat und man denkt, man lernt neue Leute kennen und die Leute haben vielleicht schon ein bestimmtes Bild von einem oder gewisse Eindrücke gewonnen, ohne dass sie dich kennen, denken und meinen, dich zu kennen und man begrüßt die Leute und hat so das Gefühl, dass da schon so 'n bisschen voreingenommene Haltung ist und da riskiert man ich finde es sehr seltsam und ich komme damit nicht ganz klar, sage ich mal, wenn man auf 'n Flugplatz kommt und schon so begrüßt wird oder sich die Leute gar nicht mehr vorstellen, weil sie denken: „Ja, das ist ja die Julia und die kennen wir“ und ich sage dann: „Ja, hi, ich bin Julia“ und dann so kriegt man nicht so wirklich 'ne Antwort. Also, das sind so die Situationen, mit denen ich konfrontiert schon war. Oder ich bin halt dann irgendwie ich kann damit noch nicht so ganz umgehen und realisiere das teilweise noch gar nicht so ganz selber. Und deswegen freuen mich solche Kommentare und bestärken einen, dass man da vielleicht nicht ganz alles falsch macht und da vielleicht weitermachen sollte. Also, back to English. Katharina, I suspect it's very much a gender problem as well. Yes, you might be right. I'm happy you're an advocate for girls in flying. A good one as well. Keep the good work. Thank you very much, Katharina. And yes, I hope to meet you maybe someday and we can have a chat. Just let me know whereabouts in Germany you are. And as I said, I'm always happy to meet new people and it's nice to talk to pilots. And in general, our community is great, I think. Major advantage on Discord is that everybody can see the chats and also when somebody asks a question. Okay. Yes, but I have a question for you guys. Do you see each other comments? So, or only do I see the chats you're sending me? Let me know, please. And thank you, Stefan. Wow, he's online. What an honor. Ala, Discord. You can do big announcements for everyone to do ads, etc. You can do a voice chats and pilots I know are using Discords for their community. I'll have to check it out. I'm interested. Yes, I caught interest. Thank you for your suggestion. And I will let you know on Instagram whether I start a Discord or not. And I will also do a survey and ask you yes or no. I would be interested in a Discord. So make sure to click on yes if you're interested. And let's see where this goes. And finally, I will have to implement my last instrument now. My voice is already quite rough. Thanks, Arthur, and thank you for your compliment with the English. It adds to my self-confidence. So after speaking to you, I got more and more confident with speaking English and speaking about gliding in English. It's also just, I think, something you need to get used to. And I'm positive that I will do English videos, but my market research that I've completed in my studies, which is about how to gain more members for clubs in general, will be in German because it's very specific and the survey was done in German and I received quite a good grade. So I will dare to publish it. But after the German version was accounted or credited positively or reviewed positively, I will do an English version, which will follow. So there will be 2 videos, the German version about the survey in much deeper detail, and then like a summary and an overview in English for all of you. But I really want to explain all my numbers and figures in German, and so I hope you excuse my first version to be in German. Roth says, great live stream, good luck, have to go. Okay, see you, Roth, thanks for being here. And Katharina, Discord is good for private as well as for community chats, text chats, voice chats. Even video chats are possible. It doesn't cost anything, and it's a secure way to build a community. Thanks for explaining it to me as a noob, and yes. Tja. Hoffentlich klappt das jetzt endlich. I'm in Hamburg in the moment. We'll be in the US and Canada after traveling situation is completely back to normal again. Yes, question is when this will be. I would love to fly in the US one day. And Hamburg is quite far away from me, unfortunately. But it's a nice city. I think it's one of the nicest in Germany. I've been there twice. Also, I can recommend to visit Munich. And I think Frankfurt has a nice skyline. But mostly, I'm interested in the nature of Germany. And the Alps are definitely worth a visit. You should go to the Alps. So if you're in the south and you want to see the mountains, just give me a call and maybe we can go for a hike. Also, let's talk about my Instagram strategy. I wanted in the first place to combine my passion for the mountains and for hiking with gliding. And I was thinking if I combine like mountains and photography and gliding, my reach could be increased, but turned out that every time I posted a picture of the mountains, pilots were disinterested, and every time I posted a picture of flying, like my photography audience was like, what does she want with her planes? So combining a passion on Instagram wasn't possible for me. And I think I talked about it with Stefan a lot. He was trying the same thing with mountain biking and he experienced the same. So I decided to stick to gliding. But my question is, how could we make gliding more popular and appealing to someone who isn't flying glider planes yet? Do you have any ideas, maybe? Hiking is great. Thanks for the idea. Let me know if you're heading to New York. That's really nice of you, but traveling situation, as you said, but I will let you know. What are your plans for New Year's? Are you celebrating with pilots or with your family? And do you usually do New Year's flights? In Bavaria at the moment, it's not allowed to go flying due to COVID, but I think in Baden-Württemberg it's allowed to go flying. And what do you think about the Condor live streams that have been up by several YouTubers lately, like 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀 and Flying Simon and Stefan, who were doing like the simulator flying? Because I was always against simulators and I was disinterested. On the other hand, it's interesting to see them flying, what their strategies are, and you can talk with others as well. Did you watch the live streams, and what do you think about the simulator flying in general? Will you ever do a kind of fan meeting? What do you consider a fan meeting? I'm always on the airfield. If you want to meet me, I'm always in the air or on the airfield. Just, or maybe there's something like the German glider pilot day. That's where you meet people. Also, there's the Aero in Friedrichshafen, where you can make nice new friends, something like that. But I will not set up a fans meeting, because I'm just a casual 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 girl and I don't consider myself interesting enough. When are you gonna start the next soaring season in 21? What kind of task gliding exercises are you gonna practice in the beginning of the season? First, I've got to finish the Ls4. And I just noticed that the screws from winter don't fit the 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. They're too long. They stop here. So I will need to use the old screws, which is really annoying because they were rusty and I especially bought the new ones to look them all the same, which makes me really angry at the moment. I'm gonna use the old screws. Gliding practices. I'm just gonna go cross country. There are no tasks. I'm flying especially for training purposes. I'm also not in a national team, and I'm not in a so-called D-Kader or stuff. So I'm just flying for myself. No trainers, and went quite well so far. I would appreciate help and training, but I haven't qualified myself for the German junior nationals, so I didn't get into the Kader. And that's why I don't receive any extra training, and also I don't have time because, as I said, I'm studying and working and I would have to take days off for training weeks. So I'm only flying on the weekends and taking holidays for competitions. And I only have 30 days a year that I can take off. And I always take all of them in summer and no holidays in winter. So I always work from September to March. And my first holidays will be in July. And the rest, or the beginning of the season, I will spend flying on the weekends. But tell me about your preparations. I would be interested in them. Louis, I think people have the opinion that flying is very expensive. Maybe we have to change their minds about that. So that's what my market research was about. You're completely right. And I think we have to start promoting through social media. That's the only way to access new people, and especially young people who are the future for our sport. YouTube channels like yours or Stefan's are important to raise attention for our sport, but in the end you have to develop a passion for it to do it longer and not just trying it out. You're very right, and I think you can show someone a new sport, but you cannot pursue someone to develop a passion. You just need to truly become passionate about it by own motivation. You just need that initial push towards something. And many people in young age are already pushed by their parents into tennis or horseback riding or mountain biking, like the common well-known sports, and gliding is just too unwell known, and that's why many people who would develop the interest in general are not pushed into this right direction. How long did it take you to do your first solo? For me, it took 2 months. I started in the beginning of March and I soloed on the very first day in May. So it took me 8 weeks to go solo, but I had 70 starts, 70 winch launches, which is a lot. Many people solo after 30 flights. And for me, it took 70 flights, but as I said, in a very, very short time period, which was only possible by participating in two weeks flight camps. In my gliding club, there was like an Easter camp and something called Pfingst camp. I don't know how it's called in English. That's a celebration for Christians. And we always have holidays. And that's why we had a 2 weeks flight camp. And that's the way I soloed really fast. I'm gonna read out the next question in a moment, but I'm just proud that I just finished this instrument. Katharina writes, if you set up decent hardware, even with small setup, I consider flight simulators are a very helpful approach for wannabe pilots to learn the basics, but also for licensed pilots to stay in training. I think you're right. But the Condor soaring live streams that I meant, I was talking about the competition flying and some people doing it as a hobby and sport, and I don't really understand why people could be passionate or interested about flying in a simulator, because for me it has nothing to do with the soaring. I know, but I have never tried it out. And I asked Stefan if he wants to show me the Condor soaring. Maybe I will do it once, and then I will give you some feedback how I liked it. But so far, I cannot really imagine myself flying like a Condor simulator, and also I find it hard to imagine why people would watch a live stream of others flying simulator. I would understand watching a live stream of someone flying in reality. That's something I'm planning on doing. I want to do a live stream in summer if the 4G internet will be set up. It might be possible to stream during flights and ask questions like, which cloud would you choose, and then let you decide which route I would be flying and stuff like that. That's what I was planning. But like the Condor soaring, it's not quite my thing. I will start soaring next season. I already know not less about gliding due to videos, etc. Do you have an advice for beginners? Let me think about this question for a moment. It's already great that you know like the videos and you can learn a lot about them. Maybe get yourself a book if you like reading and you're German. Get yourself the book Fliegen ohne Motor, Flug ohne Motor, from the Motorbuchverlag, and this explains a lot. And maybe just prepare yourself with good training for school, because if you're learning stuff now, you can have more free time in summer. Maybe see this as a motivation to learn for school in winter, so you have more free time in summer. That's my advice, because I was always struggling keeping up with school in summer because I always spent my free time on the airfield. And save money. Don't buy useless food and stuff, so you can afford more launches, either winch launches or plane tows. So that's my next advice. Save up money for the season. That's my beginner advice. Bye-bye, have to do some housework, keep going. Thank you, Jochen, and bye, see you soon. I have to do housework as well, but... Louis, to plan a live stream during flight is great. I'm up for it. That's nice to know. But the problem in Germany is that our internet setup is really bad in the air, and I'm excited to see whether it will be possible technically, not because of your flying skills, but because of the internet's connection in Germany. But I have just to try it out and maybe just fly in a region where the internet is better. But I'm definitely planning on doing this one. Gotta go. It was nice catching you on your first live stream. Doing great. Thank you, Katarina. It was really nice meeting you, and I feel like you're very sympathetic, and I would really love to meet you someday. Whiskey Tango writes dot. Then Ata221 was really nice. Thank you so much. Have to go. Bye. See you. I've already been talking for 2 hours now. Still, I'm making some progress. I will continue working, and I'm waiting for your questions, but I'll be a bit more productive now. But keep posting, and I'll stick around. Ist hier schon Ende oder was? No, it's not. If you're still there, obviously I see 25 people are still there, but if you're not asking questions, I will be working. You can watch me work. I will explain stuff in the process when I get an idea, but I don't want to talk nonsense, so I would rather wait for questions. Well, I would watch a full flight too, even if it's not live. That's great, because I would not have to do any cutting, and it takes, I think, 48 hours for me to cut a video, which is a lot of effort in the first place, and then my reach isn't big enough, so I get like 1,000 clicks, and then people watch maybe 50 watch time hours, and I spent 48 hours, so it doesn't pay off. There's no break-even point, and that's the reason why a live stream of a flight or like a uncut flight is a great opportunity to get started with YouTube, because my account isn't verified yet from YouTube, because I don't have my 4,000 hours watch time yet, which is hard to get. I would like to wish you good luck and only good and safe flights for the next season. Yes, I wish that very same for you and all of you, and I hope we have a nice COVID-free season next year, even if I doubt it, considering the news we've got now, and I'm not sure what it means for gliding sport, but we will have to see, and I wish you all safe flights. Honestly, I would be very careful with live streaming in flight. I don't know what the regulations are, but I would be afraid of people reporting you. It might get you legal problems. That's a good point, but I don't think it's illegal to set up a camera system that you're not actively typing in or something. Like, smartphones are illegal to use during flight, but if you put like GoPro, which is connected to the internet, or like your phone, which is constantly streaming, I think it should be legal, because you're not doing anything with the device. You're flying, you're concentrating on flying. The only thing which you should always do is keep to the regulations of the airspaces, keep your cloud distance, and then I don't think that there should be any legal issues. But I will do some research beforehand, because I don't want to put my license on risk. But what should people report if you're just putting up a camera? Maybe, but I will have to think about it, obviously. Thanks. Lasse says, how much have you flown and when did you start gliding? I started gliding in 2014, which is now 5 years ago, and I'm starting with my 6th glider season, and I have flown about 400 hours now, which isn't a lot. Last year I only flew like 30 hours in the whole season. That's nothing. Whiskey Tango says, where do you shoot the pictures for your closings? You might have noticed that I haven't shooted most of my pictures. The only product pictures I probably got were the ones with Stefan on the competition, which was in 𝗏𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗀𝗀, but it wasn't like a proper shooting. It was just an airfield day and it was sunny, so I took my camera. And the pictures of myself I took on a normal field. It wasn't even an airfield. And I don't think I have more pictures of my clothes, which is a huge problem. I have no time and no location for clothing. And I would like to hear your ideas, what kind of pictures I should shoot. Maybe go into the city and do more urban posts, or like more airfield vibes, because I have the feeling that I do not represent the brand Fly High enough, and I don't market it enough that people could get to know it, because at the moment only you guys from Instagram know Fly High and no one else, because I have no other source to promote the brand and I'm struggling with it, to be honest. What is the name of your home airfield? It's Val-d'Urne. I will type it into the chat because it's the question I was asked the most. Home airfield. EDEW. Val-d'Urne. Okay. Jonathan Steinhoff, GRW was a proper shooting indeed. Yeah, Jonathan was one of my models. He was posing with the Heartfly t-shirt, whoops, and his great flying, no, not flying Sepp, Sepp the Bus. Flying Sepp is another Instagrammer and creator. I just got mixed up. Yes, Jonathan, I think you should do a live stream someday. And since we both haven't participated in the Condor simulation live stream, maybe we should think about a competitional live stream, because we both probably do not spend enough or too much time flying and flying simulators. Maybe we need an alternative. Sounds good, but I think the simulator stuff is fun too. Yes, so I will do like an introduction with Stefan. He will show me the simulator thing. I was doing like, I'm the poor girl who doesn't know how to do stuff with computers, and Stefan didn't really want to show me how to fly the simulator until I explained to him. Stefan, please show me the Condor simulator, and now he will do it with me someday when we've got time, since he's also being a representative of Condor now and doing it very professionally, flying. I think he's just started. Before the live stream, he didn't have really a lot of experience with the Condor flying, and he just tried it out the first time himself. But he grew into it quite quickly. I've only thrown like a quick view in his live stream, but the guys were flying like a great task in the mountains, and also he compared like real life flying to Condor flying. That was like a great video because I could relate to the Pavullo scene where I was with him in Italy, and he compared Pavullo with the Condor Pavullo, and it was really interesting to see like the real life versus simulation. Felix, which gliders did you already fly? So I started flying with the 𝗨𝘀𝗲𝗀, which is the basic instruction glider in our club. And when you just solo, you start flying the K8, which was my second glider. And after that, if you upgrade, you went to the Twin 3, which was the second plastic plane. I flew, and after the Twin, you were allowed to fly the Ls4. So the Ls4 was actually the fourth plane I was flying in my gliding career. And after that, I got into the Libelle and an Arcus, the double-seater. And then I haven't tried out much. I flew the DG1000 together with Jonathan. I flew the Discus 2CT and the Discus 2C FES. And compared to the turbo with the solo engine, the FES is just so nice because you like make volume up button, but for the FES, and the propeller starts spinning, and it's super easy and not so stressful compared to the CT, which is the reason why many clubs will switch to the FES system in the future, I guess. So now I completed the implementation of my instruments, and I'm just cleaning the mess I've made with a brush from my paint set, which is clean, obviously. And the next cell coating is very sensitive to dust and stuff like that, and that's why I'm cleaning it. To me, the orientation or the setup had to be symmetric. That's why I chose to bend this more than the original panel, which I've shown you before. And I had to decide whether I wanted the two air avionics displays here because it would be symmetrical, or to put both varios beneath each other. And I decided for this version. And here the most important instruments are at the top. So the vario and the speed indicator are the most important instruments for a glider pilot, and the other stuff is just nice to have, like an add-on in addition. So that's how you should, in general, plan your panel, from important to less important to least important. So this is the FLARM view display, which will display me like traffic and distance, the height difference, and their climb rate. Here there is my air control display, which displays my height with my altimeter and transponder, and my radio when I get the avionics radio. And at the moment I will use the KRT2 as my radio. And here we've got the main power switch, then switching between two batteries, which I received from Airbud, which are the 𝗨𝘀𝗲𝗀 accus. And here are the clixons, and one already fell out because I haven't secured them yet, and my USB ports to read out my IGC file from the PowerFlam and to upload data to the OpenVario. And just to view the backside, we can see here there's no cable installed yet. That's how it looks like in the very raw version. And yes, the most work will be to set up the cables and the electricity, and it's really important that a licensed Prüfer, what's Prüfer in English? I don't know. So that someone who gives you the ARC, the airworthiness certificate, that they check the panel and the electricity as well when you're doing it yourself. Felix, no, 𝗏𝗶, 𝗏𝗏. Do you use the internal vario of 𝗏𝗏 or use an external electronic vario? So I will use both. This is an 𝗨𝒃, which is an electronical vario, but with no integration display. So I will use the 𝗏𝗏 vario and the 𝗨𝒃, and I will have to try the setup. Someone earlier sent me a link how to set up both instruments, and I haven't tried it yet, but last time I wasn't 100% happy with only the use of the small OpenVario vario, because for me it was hard to read sometimes, and it was really optimistic when it showed like you're climbing 4 meters per second. You're actually only gliding or flying with 3 meters per second or something. You need to be less optimistic than the OpenVario. Mädel, schwätz doch in Deutsch. Also erstmal finde ich den Ton gerade nicht so angemessen. Also Mädel, also kannst du, ich weiß nicht, schwätz doch selber. Sorry, ich bin gerade voll im Akku-Modus. Also ich kann Deutsch, aber es gibt genug Leute, die hier auch auf Englisch zugucken, und wenn es dich stört, musst du nicht zuschauen, und das ist jetzt gerade mein Bitch-Modus. Also ich erkläre Sachen teilweise auch auf Deutsch, und ich werde auch teilweise Videos auf Deutsch machen, und die Diskussion, ob ich es auf Englisch oder auf Deutsch mache, die haben wir schon geführt heute, und das wird hier auch weiterhin auf Englisch stattfinden. Aber danke für deinen Kommentar. So I will have to pause for a second. I will put my panel here. Maybe you can watch it for a bit, and I will put up the books, but I'll be back in 5 minutes. In the meantime, I will check the Instagram and post about the live stream, and then we will continue. In the meantime, you can ask, süß, dann kriege ich ein Herz. Okay. In the meantime, you can ask further questions, and as soon as I get back, I will answer them. So here are the books that you asked about, and I'll be back in a second. Klasse. So. Klasse. So I've been speaking to myself, just saying, trying out my live stream and watching, seeing how it looks like, and there's definitely space to improve, like all the cables in the background and the lighting isn't ideal, but at least there's space to improve. Can't be perfect the first time. Okay. Also, I checked my messages for the first time in 2 hours and received some nice messages from friends like, yes, streaming star, whatever. There will always be comments if you're doing something in public. Get used to it. What's my favorite glider? I think I have to skip on the poor Ls4 and I'll say the Discus 2CT, which is the only high-performing glider I've really flown myself. I guess the Ventus is really nice. I would love to try it, and I would also really love to try the Yonkers planes. But taken from the gliders I have flown, I would say the Discus 2CT is definitely a really great glider from Champion. Tell me about your favorite gliders and why. Would you take a glider with flaps or without? What's your opinion on flaps? Do they improve your gliding and your average speed? Or are they only helpful if you're a really experienced professional glider pilot? So depending on your skill level, would you choose a glider with flaps? Or would you say in general flaps are improving the gliding? Or would you say a glider without flaps is just as good and you can make less mistakes and the things you're doing wrong in a second will destroy like 30 thermals? You've been doing great with the flaps. And Lenny says Ventus 3, and I totally agree. The wings are super sexy. If you can say that to a plane, the shape is truly amazing. Also, the Arcus wing makes every picture better, in my opinion. It's really hard to have a nice wing picture with an Ls4 because it's just a straight line, straight white line. And the Arcus is just well shaped and very aerodynamic. Great glider. But other than Champion, I haven't really tried a lot of gliders, to be honest. Slowly getting there, but it's all patience and slowly, and also talking, a lot of talking that keeps me away from my panel. Will you be laughing? Of course, you will be laughing, of course, but my favorite glider is the old SZD30 wooden glider. It's well wide and I can't read. Teaming in weak conditions. I agree with vintage gliders. I consider the Libelle a vintage glider as well, and you truly sense the thermals differently than in a modern glider, and it's just a whole other level of gliding. But like the high-speed gliding is something that really catches me, and That's something I'm really passionate about, and it's just so much fun to speed, and still something I need to improve on. Felix, my favorite glider is the Ventus 2. I have my license for one, and half a year. I don't think you have to be a pro fly with flaps. As a beginner, it really makes fun. Tell me why you're a fan of the Ventus 2 instead of the Ventus 3, because this is the newer one. What's the difference is, I think, the wings. But why do you prefer the Ventus 2? Also, tomorrow is Monday, and I'm really not looking forward to working, and I would much rather continue with the Ls4 and the panel. There's a lot of work to do, but obviously life has to go on, and there's a life existing next to flying and gliding, and sometimes it's hard to realize, but sometimes for me it's hard to find other topics to talk about, and I realized that gliding takes like a lot of my life. In other words, when I speak to friends that don't glide, I mostly realize how antisocial I've become during summer, spending most of my time on the airfield, and I just dropped my tool again. And I just received a message that I should hold it properly and I shouldn't drop it that much. It's just because, like I said, my finger has been nearly cut off and I'm struggling with holding stuff. Im Moment auf jeden Fall die 𝗨𝘀𝗲𝗀, weil es mein Schulflugzeug ist. Ich bin erst seit einem knapp halben Jahr am Fliegen. Ich bin mal 𝗨𝘀𝗲𝗀𝗀 mal geflogen und finde es auch echt toll. So Colin is writing that he likes the 𝗨𝘀𝗲𝗀1, and also the Duo Discus is a really great plane. I totally agree with you, and I think for flying guests the Duo XLT is the best. And for clubs, obviously, because it doesn't have flaps, but it's still like a modern double-seater, and I think it's one of the nicest double-seaters next to the Arcos is the Duo Discus XLT. On the other hand, the Discus without XL, the old Discus, is the most annoying double-seater I've ever flown, because I really hate the holes for the feet coming from the back pilot towards the front, and the pig can feel the feet in his elbows, and I really hate the old Discus. They've done a good job improving the new Discus. Felix says, I can't judge how the Ventus 3 flies because I never flew it. I'm sure it is even that glider. Yes, so maybe we have to go to Champion and ask if we can test the Ventus 3 someday. I think they offer the test flights for interested customers and young pilots, and maybe there's the opportunity someday to test the Ventus 3 in flight. I think that would be a great chance to get to know this glider and fly it. Gliding sport is a team sport of überzeugten Individualisten. I don't know what to comment on this statement, because I think every sport takes an individual and at the same time your team or your group. And I don't see the difference to other sports, but in maybe glider pilots are more individualistic because they keep thinking outside the box and they expand their horizon through their hobby. So I might agree to your statement. Okay, cleaning for a second time. And what's very important when working on your panel and stuff is always to keep everything with notes, so you know where stuff belongs, and keep it bagged up or in a tin or something so stuff doesn't get lost, because it's really annoying when you have a screw and you don't know where it belongs anymore. It's like the 101 of gliding, tuning and working. But you should get taught this in your club. Okay. Now I'm cleaning stuff up. Voila. Sorry. And now this nice machine will go into action. I hope everyone knows how it works. First, you've got to unlock it. And I've got my selection here. No, that's the wrong selection. Over here. Not sure which one to choose. Smaller one or the bigger one. I think I will go for the small. And I'm gonna need 8 for it to start off. So now I picked 8 needs, and in the end there will be 12. And obviously they're silver and they will stand out from the paint, and they will be painted afterwards with a little brush, and I will coat them with Nextel so they won't be visible. And at the moment I've got little helping needles inserted into the holes where the needs will go. I will show you them. They're here. And this device looks like this, and it holds together the front and the back before I put the needs in. And first step is to insert one into the pistol. That's what I would call it. And Then you put it inside the hole, like this. Obviously the hole is not big enough. I will have to expand it. And then you start pumping. And if you pump enough, this wind will blow up. And then you can break the pen, or how it's called. You can break it, and then the needle will stick in the panel permanently. I'm not very good in explaining technical stuff. I wish to ask my father to help me, but that would be embarrassing in front of all of you now. So I will answer this question first. What was your first school glider? And it was an ASK-21 standard plane. What am I gonna do? I don't want to use a smaller one because it won't hold as much weight. Maybe. I'm not sure yet. So I will go to the seller because I will ask my father for an advice which one to choose. This is a really small one, and sorry, this is a really small one, and this one is medium sized, and I cannot decide which one to choose. And I will go get some advice, and I'll be back, and then I will let you know what my father said. Mama? Okay, so I'm back again with good advice. So this one has 3.8 millimeters. So what I'm gonna do is use the four holes, 4 millimeter hole, and then the 3.8 millimeter needle will go inside. But I will first start with a 3.5 hole to begin with, and then slowly go with the bigger hole before I make a mistake. All right, that's it. I hope you can see well. And now you can see, that's it. Perfect. And I hope this doesn't go bad in front of the camera, but what I'm going to do is put this like in properly and then start pumping. And it cracks and you know you're done, and then this thing comes out, and that's it. That's how you knead your panel together. And I'm taking off the next pin. Here's the pin again. So now we're going for hole number 2, and I'm considering just making the hole without the 3.5. Maybe it. Okay, so it works, but it was easier to start with a smaller one and then building up to a bigger hole. So next I'm inserting a needle again, pop needle, and here's my prepared hole. Which doesn't go in really easily. Maybe I need to adjust it again another time. Which is strange because this is the 4 millimeter hole and the 3.8 neat, but whatever. Okay, repeating the same process. And here we go again. Okay. So number 2 looks fine. And I am Going for hole number 3. The next question from Felix is, do you have a winch driver license? And I'm proud to answer this question positive. I've got a winch driver license because in my old club, it was the very only opportunity to get in the air was by a winch launch. And everyone had to do the license, and we had to, I think, do and accomplish 5 to 7 days on the winch during the season, which is a lot. And in my new club in 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀, we don't have we have the choice to go on the winch, but we don't need to. It counts as working hours as well. And this is really nice for me because I'm only there every 3 months, and then I don't want to drive the winch when I'm there, but I want to fly, and that's the best option for me then. All right. I'm struggling with this hole. I might start with the smaller one. Do you prefer the winch launch? In the beginning, I have to say yes, because I learned to fly with the winch, and I was struggling with the plane tow to find thermals, which is bizarre because they tow you into the thermal and then you have to clink out, and I don't know if that's English, but then you have to pull, and in the winch you have to search for the thermals. But for me, it was like a procedure I was used to. So in the beginning, I preferred the winch launch, and the tow by plane was very stressful for me and very expensive. So for learning purposes, the winch launch is cheaper and much faster. But I think that for cross-country flying, that the tow plane is a much nicer opportunity to go cross-country, because they can tow you to another location if the thermals aren't developed at home yet. And also they direct you straight under a cloud, and you can achieve the height you would like. If you want to pay more, you go higher. And the winch launch is very limited. At our airfield, we only receive 300 to 400 meters above ground, which isn't too much if you want to start into the day without stress and with enough time. And with the tow plane, you can go to the cloud base, save a lot of time, and then go straight onto your route, and without wasting time with a weak thermal in the beginning of the day, and already be exhausted by the first thermal if you don't hit the strong climb in the very beginning. So now my answer would be I much prefer to the tow plane, but for students, I would say the winch launch is much nicer to learn stuff. Also, my injured finger doesn't do much good to holding the panel. I also wish to show you more, but it's really hard. And I'm not left-handed and stuff. another one. Good. And it's more fun. Yes, it feels like driving a roller coaster. I agree. Also, you can tell your friends my glider accelerates from 1 to 100 kilometers per hour in under 3 seconds, which is a really cool thing to say, and nobody will believe you. Elektrowinde oder Dieselwinde. I haven't tried the electrical winch yet. So I cannot answer this question. Maybe you can, because you sound like you have experience with both of them. And I would like to hear your answer. Also, now 23 people are online, and I don't know how many of them are actively watching the screen and not only listening. But I'm going to reveal a special present that I received for Christmas from Stefan, which has to do with the OpenVario. And I'm going to show it to you, but I haven't revealed it anywhere yet, and it will be a huge revelation. But I'm going to show it only to you guys now, which is this remote stick, which might be nothing special at first sight, but he sewed a very special pattern for me, which is a limited edition. Only I've got this pattern. It's not the standard sewing pattern, and he designed it for me, and it's a very unique gift, a gliding nerd gift. I was very happy to receive it because I'm really into interior design, and that's something very special. And he called it the Juliet Sierra edition, which I found really sweet. So that's only you're seeing here. I've not posted it yet, and I just received it for Christmas, and I think it's very cute of him. It's nice to have a glider pilot boyfriend. I'm very proud of this present. And in the meantime, Felix has answered to the question if the electrical winch or the casual diesel winch is better. He says the electrical winch is easier to drive, and the other one is more fun because you feel like the horsepower is when you push in the power button or whatever. Not button. Gashebel halt. Ich weiß nicht, was Englisch. Ist nicht mehr so meine Stärke heute Abend. Okay. Okay. Want to finally. the reason why it's so hard to get through is because this is one glass fiber and second aluminum, which is extra thick. Okay. And maybe I'm doing something wrong, but whatever. Very nice present. Yes, I think so as well. And Quint sucks bungee launch all day long. I'd love to try it at least once. And it's nice to see you here, Quint. It's an honor. He is a very talented photographer and creative mind. Welcome to the live stream. I don't know him personally yet, but I would love to meet him one day. Was sitzt bombenfest? Gut. There's another one. Repeating the process for another 4 times. I wish there was an easier way, but gotta do what's gotta be done. That's what I say. Tadek, Ls4 panel is almost ready, as I can see. It's nice that you're back. I can show you the progress. I'm already here, done with this row. I'm continuing with this row. From the back, it looks like this. I don't know how much you can see. Here you see little pinheads coming out. And yes, it's nearly done. But as I said, the electrical wiring will be the most annoying act. Another one. Okay, so. Gerutscht. I can't read the name. Michelle, what's the oldest and newest glider you've flown? So that's an easy question. The oldest glider was the K8. Unfortunately, I'm not in the cool club of flying 𝗦𝗀𝗃𝗍38 yet, but I'm planning to be. And the newest glider was the Discus 2 𝗍𝗶𝗹𝗶, which was straight from Championat, and it was an honor to fly this plane. And Thilo handed it to me, and he explained it to me, and it was really nice to fly the FAS glider at Großrickerswalde. Felix, do you know or like the song Die Piste ist frei? The creator of the song flies at my airfield. Das große M, Die Piste ist frei, he's a legend. I think this is a great song, and it's nice to know that you're from his airfield, and please let him know that I appreciate his song and he should create more content, and I think it's really nice that he did something like that, and I kept listening to it for at least an hour, I think. Really nice. To all the international pilots listening, check out Das große M, Die Piste ist frei. It's a great song about gliding and it has a nice rhythm. And do you remember your first outlanding? Can you describe it? Sure, I can. I think the first outlanding of a glider pilot he will never forget. And my first outlanding was on a training camp for cross-country flying together with a trainer. And we picked the fields together and we landed there simultaneously together, and she was first and I was flying after her, and she was my role model. And it was a nice field, and in the end she did a little turn, a little curve to roll out closer to the way, and I imitated her because I think she was doing a great job and imitated the rotation movement. And in the end she asked me, wow, did you get the rotation as well? It was really hard to land. And I was like, no, I imitated you and I thought you were doing it on purpose. And this was my first outlanding, and which taught me that you should always do your own thing and never, like, it wasn't a bad thing, and I think it was a great landing and nothing happened, but it really taught me that you should always rely on yourself and not watch what other people are doing, even though it could be a good thing, but do what you can. Flugschüler Haveland. Okay, Flugschüler Haveland. How did you get through to the SPL theory? I learned a lot through Peter's software. And I honestly only learned the questions. Mostly I didn't learn from books or something. I think for this theory test, it's mandatory to know your questions, and that's how to get through. And to be completely honest, I needed a second try because I failed in one subject, which was technical whatever knowledge. And I failed with 74.5%, so half of a percentage was missing to pass my test. And it wasn't meteorology or navigation. I failed in technical whatever studies, and I thought this was the easiest subject, and I didn't study for it. So if you're trying to get your theory, just work with the program, put it on your iPad or on your computer, wherever you can work best, and go through the questions maybe 2 times, 3 times before the test, and there should be no trouble getting through it. I'm always saying everyone can do it, and you only need to do it once, and then you can study for it. It's not like in school where they don't put you on a test that isn't announced. And you're doing it for a nice purpose, so it should be fun to study for it, and not because you're made study something completely boring and it can be helpful for your gliding. Paraglider. Ist viel Arbeit, die Lizenzen etc. für den eigenen Flieger zu bekommen? Beziehungsweise was muss man da alles beantragen? So the question in English, translated, is he's asking us or me how hard it is to maintain all licenses for your glider and how to receive them in the first place when you buy a glider. So what you probably know is that my first glider, this is my second glider, was registered in France, and it was, for me, it was a lot easier, even though it was in French language, to maintain and receive all the licenses there, because Germany is quite problematic, or at least complicated, with bureaucracy, and I wish my plane was French again. But also in Germany, it's not harder to maintain a glider license, glider plane license, than any other sportive. Oh no, I made a scratch. I should concentrate on talking. To receive a license, you only need to go online. All the documents are on the download page, and they only take a little more time to get back to you because it's all via postal way, and they don't receive emails or digital documents mostly. In the opposite, the French bureaucracy is already digitalized and more easy, and you pay for each document. In Germany, I think for the registration, it's 100 euros, including the radio document and the registration of your property. Then you're waiting for 5 to 6 weeks, I think, depending on the amount of documents they have to process. And in general, it's an easy procedure, but it takes a lot of time that you should take into account. In general, the SPL license, your glider pilot license, you have to do once, and it will last a lifelong, and that's really nice, because the PPL license, you have to fulfill certain hours every year and fly with your instructor, otherwise your license will be invalid or paused. There's already a second song of him. It's called Mit der Kraft der Natur. Okay, yes, I know this song. It's really nice as well. Would you like to get instructor license later? I don't think I'm the type of instructor, because I'm too impatient and I'm not experienced enough, and also I cannot handle like total beginners. I would like to do training, and I see myself more in the coaching role rather than the flight instructor role, because I like to give tips to people that are already interested and ambitioned to go deeper into the gliding and cross-country gliding, rather than starting from scratch. I don't think that's my talent, to be honest. Flugplatzkapelle stellen. Okay. I bought my standard libelle also in France and still have the French registration whilst living and flying in the Netherlands. It was amazing simple, thanks also to Google Translate. I totally agree. It's so easy. Just type in all the stuff you don't know, and the rest is really easy to understand. And I wish, as I said, I wish my glider was French. And when I was talking, I wasn't paying attention. I scratched my panel. Hope Stefan doesn't get mad. That's a shame. My new panel is scratched. Fuck. Entschuldigung. You didn't hear that. This will be a memory to this live stream, at least. Samuel asks, verwendest du interne GPS beim OpenVario oder ein externes? Ich benutze das interne GPS im Handy für 𝗨𝘀𝗀𝗧𝗧 und das externe GPS vom 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀. Und das 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀 ist verbunden mit dem OpenVario und sendet dann die GPS-Signale an das OpenVario. Und das ist eigentlich das Einfachste, fand ich. Und hat immer gut funktioniert. Das einzige Problem ist nur, wenn das GPS-Signal vom 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀, wenn du das 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀 als primären IGC-Logger benutzt und das GPS halt nicht mehr diesen Log-Intervall aufzeichnet, der jetzt neu eingestellt wurde, ich glaube von 1 Sekunde oder so, ist das jetzt im OLC. Für die DMST ist der Flug invalide, wenn das 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀 halt mal kurz keinen Strom hatte, weil das Rebooten von dem GPS dauert länger als der zugelassene Zeitraum. Und in SkySight, in Skylines ist der Flug dann noch als Ganzes sichtbar, aber auf dem OLC wird der Flug dann ab da nicht mehr gewertet, weil das dann nicht mehr valide ist. Und das fand ich ein bisschen ärgerlich letztes Jahr, weil mir das zweimal passiert ist, dass ich den Strom ausschalten musste und dann der Reboot vom 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀 länger gedauert hat, als der zugelassene Zeitraum eigentlich ist. Und ich deswegen ab jetzt wirklich immer einen Zweitlogger dabei haben werde für DMST-Flüge halt und OLC halt. Und ich bin mal gespannt auf die neue Plattform 𝗬𝗏�glide. Gibt es dann halt nur in Deutschland, wo ja jetzt dann die DMST ausgetragen wird. Und die scheint ja sehr innovativ zu sein, aber ich bin mal gespannt, wie das dann läuft mit 2 Plattformen und wie viele Leute dann tatsächlich da den Wechsel und den Sprung hinlegen. Und viele dann sagen, ja, ist mir egal, ich fliege nicht für DMST, ich fliege nur Bundesliga. Oder wie viele Leute sagen, ja, dann ist mir der OLC egal und ich bleibe auf 𝗬𝗏�glide. Und da bin ich echt mal gespannt, ob das unsere Community dann spalten wird oder ob dann alle mitziehen. Many persons review gliding as first step on the way into commercial pilot life. Do you plan to become a commercial pilot later on? So I've answered this question in the process of this live stream before. So I think gliding is my passion, but becoming a commercial pilot isn't what I'm aiming to do. I'm studying international business. And for me, gliding is about the freedom. I can choose where I want to go. And as a commercial pilot, you're given a direction, and flying might be nice, but it's not the same, and it's not competitive, and it's not like your hobby anymore. And what I want to do as a profession is something more creative or in the management direction. And that's why I don't think becoming a commercial pilot is my thing. And as well, looking at the current economy, I don't think becoming a commercial pilot is the best career option at the moment, just considering the market situation. Und den Zweitlogger hast du in deiner separaten Spannungsquelle. Genau, also der Zweitlogger, das ist der Nano 3, glaube ich. Und der braucht keine Spannungsquelle. Der hat nämlich einen Akku, der relativ lange hält. Und der loggt dann fröhlich nebenher und ist komplett unabhängig von meiner Stromversorgung, was ziemlich cool ist. Und dementsprechend war es mir die Investition wert. Das habe ich dann gerne in Kauf genommen. Und den Nanologger, wenn man ihn halt dann nicht mehr braucht, kann man ihn auch wieder verkaufen. Aber auch auf dem Wettbewerb werden ja auch meistens 2 Logger gefordert, sage ich mal. Und dementsprechend sage ich immer, dass das 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀 mein Erstlogger ist und der Nanologger ist dann mein Zweitlogger und das ist dann mein Setup. last but not least, das ist jetzt geschafft. So, I can show you the result. So now the panel is fixated with those needs. They are sturdy, and what I'm gonna do next is to do the holes here and here. They are visible, I think, with the light. Yes, here you can tell. And that's the next thing I'm going to do. And you can keep watching, but I will repeat this step for 4 times, and then this panel is done with the hardware, and then the wiring and electrical stuff will follow, but I will not start this today, but another time, and I won't do this or document this because this is mostly trial and not me knowing a lot about it, and that's why I don't like to show myself when I'm trying out new stuff, and where I don't, well, cannot comment professionally and give my advices to you. Now cleaning my desk a bit. So I want to thank everyone for watching. I just decided that it's not worth to, or at least I cannot explain you any more interesting stuff. It was really nice for you to join me in my journey on YouTube for the very first time in my live stream. Thanks for all your questions, and I would like to feature some of them in my Instagram story. I hope it's okay and you don't mind if I put your name on the tag, or at least on the comment screenshot, so there will be a reference of your YouTube account name. In the evening I will do that, and at least I will continue with the panel. I will keep you updated, and yes, it was really nice having you here, and we will see you another time. Have a nice Sunday, and maybe already I will wish you a happy new year if we won't see each other until then. See you in 2021. Bye. See you.